Yo, what's up guys, it's Jack and welcome back to another video. And in this one I wanted to discuss my top 5 assault rifles in Call of Duty. And we're going to do this as a boots on the ground edition. I will be talking about my favorite assault rifles in the advanced movement Call of Duties, but right now I figured a good place to start would be the boots on the ground Call of Duties. And my favorite ARs for the boots on the ground Call of Duties may surprise you. This list very well may surprise you because, to me, what makes an assault rifle really good and fun to use is it's a number of key factors. And one is recoil, because, and I'm not talking about like the less recoil has, the better of assault rifle it is. No. I prefer an assault rifle that has a little bit of recoil because, number one, I just tend to do a little bit better with guns that have recoil. And number two, having some recoil on a gun makes it a little bit more balanced and it makes it feel a little bit better, at least to me, and it widens the skill gap. Because for most people that play Call of Duty, the less recoil that a gun has, the more they like to use it. But for me, that's not exactly the case. Another thing that makes it really well is that the assault rifle has to be versatile. In other words, you can use multiple attachments on the gun and it'll still be good. The iron sights have to be good, at least for me, for my personal preference. I know that a lot of people in the community have different varying opinions on the iron sights. A decent fire rate is another one, and decent damage. So, and what I mean by decent fire rate and decent damage is the fire rate can either be slightly above average or even slightly higher a little bit, but the damage has to be pretty decent as well for the most part in terms of the assault rifles that I like to use, because if you haven't noticed by now, I really like to play aggressive, and if an assault rifle has an above average fire rate, for instance, it's something that really caters to my playstyle. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into this. Now, the first one is, I'm going to get the obvious out of the way, is the AN-94 from Black Ops 2. The AN-94 from Black Ops 2 is my go-to gun. Now, I know, like I said before, it's not all about how strong the gun is. I know that the FAL, especially where somebody has a good trigger finger, can drop people faster. I know that the M8, A1 can drop people faster, but this gun here, in terms of full auto, if you've got good aim and if you've got good gun skill, you can drop people pretty damn quick. And I really like how the first 2 rounds of every burst of this gun, every single time you pull down the trigger, the first 2 rounds fire a little bit faster. So if you're accurate, those 2 bullets will hit, and by the time that third and fourth bullet get to you, you're just dead, and you're dead before you know it. And I really like how the gun sounds as well. The iron sights are really, really solid. I love these iron sights, and the rate of fire, like I said, is really solid and very versatile. So this is definitely a good assault rifle for me personally. I love it. It's one of my favorite assault rifles of all time, and I really don't have a favorite assault rifle of all time, just in case you guys are wondering, because, well, there's so many good ones that I can't really just choose one, but this is definitely one of my top 5, that's for sure. Alright, let's get into the next one, and this one here, it's the only other gun that I will have in this video from Black Ops 2. And it is also the most underrated assault rifle probably ever, in my opinion. But it is very versatile and it can compete with SMGs, and that's the Type 25. The Type 25 is a very, very good assault rifle, especially after they buffed it, because when the game first came out, it wasn't that good, and a lot of people didn't like it at all. And then they released a patch for the buff, and the gun ended up being better. It's still not people's most go-to weapon, but for me, if I need an assault rifle so that way I can take people out at a decent range as long as a close range, the Type 25 is definitely one that I gravitate towards. And like I said, it can compete with SMGs. Again, it's not the answer to all SMGs, but the fact that it fires fast enough, and the iron sights are good. You can use multiple attachments on it, but I don't recommend anything like a suppressor, although you can do it if you absolutely need to. But in my opinion, this is just a damn good gun, and it's really underused. And that's another reason why I put it in my top 5, is because if you're skilled enough, it's good. And the fact that it's really underrated. And for those of you guys that haven't tried it that much, I highly recommend you give it a shot, because it's really good. It's really solid. Alright, let's move on into the next one. Now this is where the video gets a little bit more interesting. The next one is the Scar from Modern Warfare 3. I think it's called the Scar L. love this gun. I like the way it sounds. I like the fact that you can use it both without any attachments and with attachments and with a suppressor. The iron sights are really good, and I had to choose between this one and the Scar H from Black Ops 2, and one of the reasons why I didn't is because, well, the Scar L from Modern Warfare 3 came first. It was the first to be to really get me to notice. A year earlier, actually. So, and especially if you're a skilled player that can control recoil really well, because obviously people prefer the what do they prefer? For Modern Warfare 3, everybody prefers the ACR. I mean, it barely has any recoil, if not at all, and it's a lot easier to use. But the Scar has a little bit more damage. The iron sights are still solid, and the fact that and the fact that the gun can be versatile and it's good in the hands of a skilled player is something that really can't be ignored. And again, it's really solid in every single way. The rate of fire is a little bit low, but at the same time, the damage is really good, so there's a balance there. And the rate of fire isn't that low. I mean, the rate of fire is a little bit better than the Man of War, so I would consider the Man of War a really low rate of fire for assault rifles, but the Scar L from Modern Warfare 3 has a higher rate of fire and really good damage, so you can really do some work with it. Granted, you get used to the recoil and you have the skill to do so. So that's my my next one. And who doesn't like the name of that assault rifle too? I mean, Scar. I mean, it's pretty badass. But anyway, let's get on to the next one. The Galil from Black Ops 1 also. I mean, my goodness, the Galil's iron sights are really, really good. You can use any attachment on it. You can drop people ridiculously fast if you don't have a suppressor on it, but at the same time, with the suppressor, if you have really good aim, you can still drop people fast. It's noticeably slower, but the gun just has a really good feeling even with a suppressor. Like, it just feels really good to use a suppressor on the Galil. And the rate of fire is really good. It's a really good example of a good versatile assault rifle, and the kind that you want to use, especially if you want to rush. And well, let's see about this gun. The recoil, actually, back in Black Ops 1, the recoil on assault rifles, and actually all guns in general, was generally a little bit higher than what it is now. Obviously, in games like advanced movement games, they seem to have lowered the recoil on guns because there was advanced movement and targets would be harder to hit, I guess. But back in the day, in Black Ops 1, guns in general, overall, seemed to have more recoil, and that's where the Galil was unique. It still had a decent amount of recoil on it, but it was also very versatile, and a lot of people in Black Ops 1 just tend to go for the FAMAS, but for me, it's all about the Galil. And last but not least, by far, in my opinion, the best silenced weapon for ARs in Call of Duty is the Honey Badger from Call of Duty Ghosts. It is a gun that you can use passively. It is a gun that you can use to rush. It has a good fire rate. The recoil without a grip is hard to manage, I'm not gonna lie, but if you put grip on it, it becomes very balanced. The iron sights are solid, and it's really well balanced, and it feels really, really good. It sounds unique, and the name Honey Badger, I mean, it kind of makes you want to laugh a little bit. But yeah, I'm sure some of you may have not expected me to name a gun from Call of Duty Ghosts, but it was really hard to make this list because there are plenty of other guns that could have made this list, but the ones that stood out to me were the ones that I mentioned in this video, and the ones that I personally like to use. And to me, these weapons are all they're all basically a jack of all trades weapon, because you can use them in various different ways, especially if you're a run and gunner. So, but that's my list, and I want to know down in the comment section, what are your top 5, or what are your top 3, for instance, assault rifles in a boots on the ground Call of Duty. And stay tuned. I will be covering SMGs because I do use SMGs as well, for both boots on the ground and for the advanced movement Call of Duties. And again, I will be covering the ARs for advanced movement Call of Duties as well, because I have a good list for that one too. So anyway, guys, let me know down in the comment section what your favorites are and what you prefer. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed the video and the gameplay and the commentary, and if you did, let me know, and if you didn't, let me know what I can do to make my videos better, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.